We've just come through this really volatile month of August. What's the F9 world view on where we go from September and beyond?
Well, the worldview, we're very much waiting on the US and the Fed specifically. But if we break that down further and we just look around the world, Europe is a disaster. If we go back to 2008, it basically represented about 35% of US, Japan, China, and EU all combined. That figure now, the size of that economy, is now 20% of the total, it just shows terminal decline. This is one area that I think I've been talking about for a long time. I'm saying for a long time, no US recession. The one area we need to focus on is the EU. I was praying that earlier in the year they would go first and hard on ECB rate cuts. They did go first, but they were tepid. And it's just an area that you want to stay away from.
Okay, so expand on that for me. It seems like you're pretty concerned about the European outlook moving forward. We'll touch on the US in just a moment, but what are you looking at specifically that gives you the view that the outlook in Europe is going to get worse before it gets better? The PMIs have look pretty downbeat, particularly when you look at manufacturing and factory activity, for example, but are there other things that you're looking at that make you think Europe is not the great play to make at the moment?
Well, European PMIs are traditionally have been overestimating the strength of the European economy. So to see them under 50 and significantly under 50 at 45 is a real concern. Well, earlier on in your show, you had the story about Volkswagen thinking about closing factories. The Mittelstand within Germany have just been demolished. It seems that the liberty, equality, and fraternity is now turning into liberty, equality, and poverty. It's one of the areas that I think the ECB has been really delinquent in its attitude to stimulating growth, and it's an area that I think that is going to come back to haunt the EU. Another area, if we look at the European Union, is bank lending. Bank lending was. The banks would be very, very accommodative in their policy pre-COVID. That significantly tightened, and we're only recently starting to see a loosening in bank lending, but consumers are saying that they can't get credit. So at a time when the European Union needs to be expanding out credit, making sure that the small and mid-sized companies have access to financing, that's tightening in. So we're seeing from bank credit through to PMIs, it's just something that is something that we need to worry about. And one of the key things for me, if we look at heavy truck sales within the EU, they are significantly down on where they were pre-COVID. One of the things that I look at for the US is a thing called animal spirits, which is startups minus bankruptcies. In the EU, there is a very pessimistic stance. Bankruptcies are now accelerating away and startups are not happening. So the animal spirits is lagging.